Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone.
Chased down by Beal in the corner for three, gets fouled and hits.
Welcome to DC.
Walker tied him out.
You know where you're at, the USA cap. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. Now how you gon' act on you gon' be right back. When we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
We ain't going nowhere. We run the NFC East. What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nazi with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone. And on a night when CM Punk made sports entertainment history, joining AEW, and when Jarrett Patterson ran roughshod against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, the Washington football team, your Washington football team, got their first preseason W in the history of this team being named the Washington football team at home, 17-13 against the Cincinnati Bengals. And Jarrett Patterson was the star of the show tonight. He had nearly 100 total scrimmage yards, had a touchdown on the ground, right? And a touchdown that was very interesting, right? A week after he should have had a touchdown against the New England Patriots, but was ripped of that opportunity from Peyton Barber. And I think the coaches were very much aware of that circumstance and definitely made sure to feed Patterson the ball tonight. And he definitely prevailed with a touchdown. And he played amazing, man. PG County native. I mean, it's crazy. He was dreaming of playing for the Washington football team, for what was the Redskins at the time, his hometown football team. And I can't help but smile every time I see him take a snap for his team. And he definitely showed out for the city tonight. And there was also some other tidbits as well that I'm going to get to in this video off of Washington's performance. Pretty good performance overall against the Cincinnati Bengals. The one thing I want to say, though, first and foremost, the first string offense once again struggled. They struggled once again, and this has been dating back for years now, not just last week against the New England Patriots when Ryan Fitzpatrick, I believe, couldn't even get a touchdown, and they really didn't put too many points on the board. At least the first string offense didn't. And it's been continuing on for years, and tonight was no different, man. I mean, they were struggling. There was that nice Fitzy-Logan Thomas connection, which I know we all are looking forward to seeing this year. I think Logan Thomas is going to have an amazing season. Fantasy owners, make sure to draft Logan Thomas because I think he's going to rack up double-digit touchdowns and get potentially 700, 800 plus yards this season just with Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing him the ball. But there was that nice little connection going on early in the game, but Dyami Brown didn't look too great other than that one nice pass down the field that Ryan Fitzpatrick threw. That was pretty perfect ball placement. Dyami Brown corralled that pass, but other than that, the offense did not look good tonight, guys. I mean, Antonio Gibson had a couple nice runs. Terry McLaurin had one semi-good catch. But overall, the first string offense struggled once again. So we shall see. I think they're going to get actually some reps in the third preseason game. I know a lot of us thought that this game, the second preseason game, would have been the third sort of game, right? Where it was sort of like the dress rehearsal for the starters. But apparently that was not the case because I believe Ryan Fitzpatrick and most of the starters only played for a little over a quarter. So I think we should see some action out of the starters next week. And I think hopefully the offense, the first string offense, does get some sort of movement down the field and potentially gets their first touchdown on that first team. But there were also, some other tidbits, some other great things that I saw from the Washington football team. I mean, Montez Sweat, even Chase Young had a quiet night, but Montez Sweat showed out tonight, man. Had a nice run stop early on in the game, and he and Chase Young are really showing why, right? They're going to be one of, if not the best bookend defensive ends across the National Football League. They're absolutely special duo, and I'm glad that they're here in Washington, D.C. Torrey McTyer also played very well at outside cornerback off of Curtis Samuel, William Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Samus Reyes, Tamarick Hemingway, and some other players being out of tonight's game with injuries or rest. But the starting cornerback duo did not play tonight, and Torrey McTyer stepped up to the plate and was absolutely great tonight. He had, I believe, a couple pass deflections, didn't have an interception or anything, but he was very solid tonight. And I think he definitely solidified his place as a top 5 cornerback on our depth chart right now, with obviously William Jackson III, Kendall Fuller, the two guys that we're paying big money for. Benjamin St. Juste, who's also pretty solid tonight. Jimmy Moreland, who had a very nice pass deflection, who potentially could have an interception on that play, but I mean, that was a great deflection, and he played very solid as well. The people's corner, I know someone who we all still love here in DC. And then Tony McTire. I think Tony McTire is that fifth guy. I think he has to go above guys like Danny Johnson and even some other guys as well. Derek Forrest, who played safety, but I mean, he's sort of like a nickel sort of cornerback. And obviously, yeah, Bobby McCain, who actually, I don't think he played at all tonight, if I'm not mistaken. But I think McTire has to be that fifth guy at this point. Another guy that I liked seeing tonight was, and in terms of like seeing him drop the ball a lot, was Jamar Chase, right? Which is kind of crazy. I mean, this has been a thing over the last 2 games. I know he doesn't play for the Washington football team, and a lot of you guys might not care. Jamar Chase, number 5 overall pick, someone who I thought was an absolute mistake at the draft pick. Not because he isn't a talent, because he is an amazing talent. He's going to be a very good player in this league, but because the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion, should have went the Penei Sewell route. They just overthought it. They were pretty much made this decision that I believe a lot of fans wanted to make last year in selecting Tua over Chase Young. I thought the Bengals just overthought it and potentially could have drafted a generational talent at left tackle, but instead went the Jamar Chase route when their offensive line is still putrid. And Jamar Chase has had a series of drops for the last 2 preseason games, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't played since 2019, right? That record-breaking season at LSU. But it was just interesting to see from the other side, right? As a fan of the Washington football team, seeing him drop 3 passes and not really have a great game once again. Some other tidbits as well. Landon Collins, guys. Landon freaking Collins. I've been skeptical, not gonna lie. I've been skeptical of him coming back to that 2016 form, right? To coming back to that all-pro form that he had with the New York Giants. But he was flying all over the field tonight. And I'm not saying he's gonna have an all-pro season or even a Pro Bowl season, but I think he's going to be very solid for the Washington football team this year, and I think he's going to be worth the money. I really do, and you guys know that's saying a lot, right? Someone who is very skeptical throughout this offseason of Landon Collins being a cornerstone on this defense, but I think he's going to be very good this year, and him and Cameron Curl is a great, great duo back there at the safety position, alongside guys like Benjamin St. Juste, Kendall Fuller, and William Jackson at cornerback. So I think that secondary will be very solid this year, led by Lenny Collins at safety. Another point I wanted to mention was AGG. I mean, we talk about guys that I'm critical of. AGG by far has been the guy that I've been most critical of throughout the offseason. I mean, he showed us nothing up until tonight, other than that one end-around run, I believe, against the Cleveland Browns last year, and I believe it was week 4 of the regular season. Other than that, he showed us nothing. I know he had injuries, but I mean, he was healthy enough to put out some game film, some good things on film, but he didn't at all last year and hadn't up until now. But he had some good plays. I mean, he was the leading receiver for the team. I think it was only 3 catches for 40 yards, but he was still the leading receiver. Actually caught the 2-point conversion in the end zone, unlike last week where we dropped it at the last second, and had a nice catch, right? And basically turned around the defensive back and just went upfield and got some extra yardage. You love seeing that out of AGG. So he was pretty solid tonight. He was pretty solid. I got to give the man his due, bro. I got to give the man his due, okay? But AGG, we shall see if he continues to show signs of improvement next week and potentially locks down that 6th receiving spot, because at this point, I think it's Terry, Curtis, De'Ami Brown, Cam Sims, Adam Humphries, and right now the 6th receiver spot is up for grabs between AGG, DeAndre Carter, and Steven Sims. And if we're going to be honest, Jared Patterson did a very good job at kick return and punt return tonight. I mean, he had one good kick return where he went, I believe, 35 plus yards, and potentially could be that 4th running back or 3rd running back. And maybe, might kick DeAndre Carter out the door, right? Because maybe we wouldn't need a kick return sort of receiver, right? When we already have a Jared Patterson. But I mean, AGG has a good shot at being that 6th receiver, especially with Kelvin Harmon being cut this week. So we shall see there. Another guy I wanted to mention, Trapke is back, and Trapke is back to just not playing well. I mean, I'll give him his credit. He's been playing much better at cornerback than safety. I think the odds are very high that he won't make the roster this year, much like a guy like Steven Sims. And some other tidbits, Dustin Hopkins, 3 for 3 on field goals, bounced back pretty nicely from last week. although the field goals were very short, but did bounce back, looked good. Hopefully he could continue that, and very much, Ron Rivera talked highly of Dustin Hopkins and how he believes he is firmly the kicker for Washington. We'll see if Dustin Hopkins could continue to show that over the next couple of weeks and potentially could be a reliable kicker for us, which hasn't really been a thing much over the last couple of years, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to say he should be a cut at this point. I'm just going to say that preferably I would like competition there at kicker, but if not, I think we should be at least okay with him at the position right now. Although, I mean, again, things could change next week if he misses a couple more. And some other guys that I wanted to mention. I mean, I mentioned Jared Patterson. I mentioned Antonio Gandy-Golden. I didn't mention Peyton Barber, the other guy that I'm very critical of, and someone who, Corey from On the Warpath, my bro, Corey from On the Warpath, make sure you guys sub up the channel. Someone who we always bicker about, man. I'm on the Peyton Barber should be cut from this team, and we don't need him, especially when we have an Antonio Gibson who could be a 3-down back, and also Jared Patterson, who absolutely showed great signs tonight as a good young running back that we could keep on this roster, could potentially do some goal line work, even at being at the minuscule size that he is. But I Peyton Barber, guys, if you check the Twitter at DMV Sports Zone, I've been saying this for almost a year now. Peyton Barber is meh. He's your typical average, if not slightly below average running back in the NFL. And I've been thinking that we could do better at the position, and I think we are doing better at the position with a guy like Jared Patterson, who I think has secured a roster spot, and we do not need Peyton Barber. I mean, and people always say, oh, he's going to get you that extra yard, right, on that 4th down or 3rd down when you really need it the most. He didn't do that last week. The team didn't rely on him much this week at all, really, if we're going to be honest. I think still that the odds of the team keeping 4 running backs are higher than them keeping 3. But if I'm going to go straight up Patterson versus Barber, Patterson has shown me much more in just 2 preseason games than Peyton Barber has shown me in a year. And I'll leave it at that. The last thing that I wanted to mention from the Washington football team is that I just loved how they kept playing. They kept playing until the end this week. They got that big 4th down stop when the Cincinnati Bengals backup quarterback basically tried to run for on 4th down, and Washington, ultimately, their defense prevailed, and their defense, is absolutely spectacular. That was the 2. I had 2 key points after about halfway through the first quarter tonight, and 2 key takeaways. And the first takeaway was that the Washington defense is absolutely spectacular. I think they're going to have a very good season. They showed great signs tonight, albeit against a pretty putrid Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. They showed great signs without their starting cornerback duo, their big money cornerback duo in Kendall Fuller and William Jackson III. And I think, again, the defense can be very good this year. And the second point, which is totally random, but second point, hated the Cincinnati Bengals uniforms. Oh my gosh, butt ugly, bro. Butt freaking ugly. The white and black with the orange small letters, I just hated it. I really did. That is besides the point, though, because I thought that Washington, again, prevailed tonight, played a very solid all-around game. I know it's preseason, right? I'm not one of those fans who's going to put too much into this and think, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we're going to go, I don't know, 13-4 or something like that. I don't believe that. I still have us going 9-8. But I think we showed some signs tonight that should carry over into the Baltimore game next week, August 28th, 6:30 p.m., I believe. And yeah, it should be another fun one. I think that will actually be our dress rehearsal game and not this week, which is kind of surprising for a lot of us folks who thought that this was going to be that game. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was sort of a long-winded video, but it's been sort of a while, right, since I gave you guys a post-game Washington football team. But with that being said, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the DMV Sports Zone channel, where we try to post fire content on there as much as possible. Also, go follow our Instagram page, all lowercase DMV Sports Zone. Post great content on there as well, almost pretty much daily, if not every other day at this point. And in terms of content on this channel, we've got a lot more content soon to come. We got a interview with a former Washington Redskins football team player that you guys know